I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
Back for part 2. We just had a quick break there, didn't we? So we could have a Sudafed.
Yeah. What were the odds on you having Sudafed?
Yeah, like I said,
In this village, you can't buy anything. Do you know what I mean? It's but Sudafed.
I don't usually carry tablets around me, not even like paracetamols are out, and just because I had them last week, honestly, I was in so much pain. The front of my forehead was killing me, and I was getting dizzy, and I was like, and I had them in my pocket just by coincidence.
But it's mad though, like music keeps you mentally young,
Yeah.
but you don't realise your body actually ages. You think young forever.
Oh yeah.
And then actually you start getting bloody ailments and all sorts, and like that's the worst out of a lot of them, sinus pain. It's like somebody's just like bloody giving you a right up continually. It's bloody horrible.
Well, you think you're young forever until someone says to you, "Oh, you play that classic music, don't you?" And I'm like, "No, it's new. It's new." No, but yeah, it was big. Like when my mum was going out. I'm like, yeah, it was. Right, okay.
It always annoys me really when somebody says like comes up to me, DJ booth, and says, "Do you know of somebody called Patrick Topping?" I'm like, "Fucking hell, Jesus Christ!" You know what I mean? It's that really makes me feel old.
Yeah, I get that. I don't like this thing with age and music. I mean, you get tunes that sound old because they were produced on maybe old equipment and stuff, but nowadays music is at such a level that it should be timeless. It shouldn't be like...
Right, I subscribe to that completely. Tick that box. And it's like, if you think, bear in mind, like music years and years and years ago was all like guitar based. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? In the 80s... excuse me, in the 80s, you would have, say, the Jam, Paul Weller, and then they carry on listening to Paul Weller, and it doesn't actually age, and it's kind of like frowned upon dance music by the sort of like that kind of community.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, like house music started initially probably about 84.
Yeah.
Really. With I think the first house music record acknowledged is a track called Mac On and On, which is a bootleg that Frankie Knuckles used to play, and it's a bootleg of Donna Summer's that toot toot beep beep over Funky Town. And that's, for me, that's the original. That's the first ever house record in '84. That's what Frankie Knuckles.
I've seen that on a documentary. Is it This Is House Music or something, or the Birth of House or something like that? And they used to do it on like illegal radio, and they used to have tunes just for like you'd have to listen to the radio at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday because it's the only chance you're going to get to hear that tune.
But it's going back to the last podcast. Like I told you about Stu Allen. Do you know what I mean? And like Stu Allen, like literally from like, Saturday night 8:00. Like Mark Radcliffe used to have the indie show before Stu Allen on Q103 in Manchester, and he'd do 8 till 12. And I mean, I was fortunate enough. I had MTV when I grew up because my dad bought. My dad was a hairdresser, and he bought a dodgy skybox from one of his customers and brought it home, and I got MTV, and we used to have MTV Party Zone as well. And like, but they were the only windows you actually had, and you had 808 State on a Tuesday from 10 until 2 in the morning. Yeah. And like I said, you know, growing up with that kind of thing, and in London it was a bit more advanced. I mean, you used to have a guy called Steve Walsh who. Fantastic broadcaster, sadly died in Ibiza in I think 1990, who would play a lot of soul, but he'd play house music as well. But you know, it was so difficult back in the day.
You were saying about dodgy folk there. I remember getting cable in for the first time, like pre Sky. Yeah. And I remember it used to go down to the pub, the Well. When I lived in Scotland, and it'd be like you could get you anything 40 quid. And it's like there's a Kevin Bridges joke about it, and I remember watching it in like when Kevin Bridges brought it out in like 2008, 2009, whatever. And it's like anything 40 quid, and I'm like, he knows the guy I know. He could get you like, do you know know what I mean? He could get you anything for 40 quid.
We used to have a guy called Jock.
Right.
When I used to work at Soundbase, we had a guy called Jock. And he used to come in every single Sunday morning when I used to work. He said, "What do you want for Sunday dinner?" And he'd go and nick me a joint of beef from Marks and Spencer.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see him for 3 months. And he said, "Oh, I've been away."
Yeah, that joint of beef cost me 3 months. But yeah, I remember my stepdad come in with this box, and like obviously I knew what a Skybox was like because you've seen it in the adverts and stuff, but I'd never seen a cable box before, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And he plugged it in. We had Sky One and all this and whatnot.
It was mad actually, like with MTV. Eventually, I went on to work for MTV. But it was mad actually growing up, with that, and that was always my sort of like dream. It was always like MTV blew my fucking mind. It's like dance music videos, right the way through, and like it absolutely blew my mind.
It was a revolution of its time because like it went from like rave music where it was a bit underground, like you could get stuff in say HMV and you could get like it was on a bigger scale like with the bigger record labels, but when the video element came into it, there was like this higher ups putting money into this to make the visuals and I think
bloody hell, it's expensive to make a music video.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember you get what you give. We've still not made our money back from. It's on the wall there. We've still not made our money back from that record because our video actually cost us £25,000, and that record. I could go heavily into the record industry here, but I could safely say the corruption in the music industry, that would have been a number one.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. And we've got, I would say, a ridiculous amount of unsold copies due to the corruption, and I'm not going to mention two names, Simon Cowell, Jonathan King, and it's like, that's the way the industry actually is. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's how it actually was at the time.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to talk on that a little bit, if that's all right? Like, so when it came around, you did you write a record and there was no record deal in place, or you didn't have any connections at this point when you did that?
You get what you give. What happened, right? Me and Cy Edwards are in with Lee Monteverdi all around the world, and
so you had the connection.
We'd done Little Bird.
Yeah.
Right, and we needed a follow up to, because Little Bird was actually tipped as a number one. Yeah. Even though it didn't even fully get to a release stage.
It was only a white label, wasn't it?
No. It's believe it or not, it's actually behind you on Clubland 6. It's on a Clubland 6.
I'll look in a minute.
Album. But that was tipped as being a number one, and it turned out it wasn't.
Did he get a single release though?
No, he got Alex K remixed it. Yeah. And it came out initially like later on, but it wasn't anywhere near what they did, and part of it was down to the publishing issues with Annie Lennox and again, I've got to legally choose my words here, and another artist who wanted a little bit more of the cut. And basically, like what you get if you sample two artists, right? The problem is, if you sample two artists together, right, you've got, they've got to meet 50-50 on the publishing. Yeah. But you've got to take your cut
bit as well, yeah.
The problem is, like, one artist will say, I want 100%, and the other will say 100%. And that's sort of what happens when you sample two artists.
Lesson learned, the way.
And publishing is where you make your money.
Yeah.
So... anyway, so going back to that, you get what you give. What happened, right? We're sat there trying to follow it up. So I had loads of ideas, and my all-time favourite record is "You Get What You Give" by the New Radicals. And I've always had this idea to house it up, and we started working on it. Sounds great. Turned it out, and it's a. Again, sorry, I'm trying to choose my words without getting sued in this interview.
It's alright if you want to skip over it. We can skip over it.
No, it's fine. What happens, right? We do this. You get what we sample the original New Radicals track, and what we do is we bounce it down. It sounds absolutely amazing. Love it. We go for clearance. And what happens in the music industry is if you've got a massive track that could potentially go to number one, you have lobbyists who are very close to very well-known people at the top. And you give them a bung. I've got to be really careful in what I'm saying here. You give them a bung and you bung certain people. And what essentially happens is Pete Tong opens the essential selection with our track. You get what you give, right? Twice, right?
Excellent.
2 weeks running, right? And that's an absolute dream come true. To the essential selection was the absolute soundtrack.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Right, and basically they open it up, and what happens is we get a lawsuit for $5 million.
Wow.
From Greg Alexander, who is the lead singer of the New Radicals,
right,
for emotional distress of sampling his record.
Wow. I've never heard that one before.
So what happens, right, we get that lawsuit. It's not our lawsuit personally, it's the label's lawsuit. And we go through an 18-month battle to actually get this track released.
Does it burn the hype on the track though, at the same time?
Well, I'll tell you something now, right? It was on Napster.
Right.
Within there's a rip on Napster within a few hours of the actual track being played on Pete Tong's show.
Yeah.
No idea where that came from, but I would say that was probably like a label.
Yeah.
Sort of like technique of actually building the hype.
Yeah.
We get that lawsuit and we end up shelving it. And then next thing I know, I get a phone call. We've managed to clear it, but we're redoing it with Rachel McFarlane.
Right.
On vocals. And Rachel didn't come to the studio. Like I said, they tried actually a few different vocals on it. And Rachel McFarlane re-sings it. And they pressed up a ridiculous amount of copies, expecting a number one. Goes in at number 30 in the charts. The week it goes in at number 30, we actually find out Greg Alexander has no legal right to actually sue us, and we could have actually released the original at the time. Great. And
just 18 months too late, though, isn't it?
It robbed me of like a number one, mate. Yeah. And I fucking feel so aggrieved to Greg Alexander. I just think he's So anyway, but he also wrote "When You Say Nothing at All" by Ronan Keating, which I hate him more for. So
excellent. So we touched on the radio thing as well. I want to get into that. So where did the radio journey start for you?
Oh, bloody hell. Right, I started out on radio.
By the way, before you go into this, I just want to say something. He's a very good talker, so you can understand that he's been on the radio. Do you know what I mean? You are a good talker, so go on.
No, I've got a serious radio voice. It's Shaun Lever, live.
Go on,
absolutely live. Tilly Blackburn.
I love it.
And with radio, I started out in radio. I started out at Oldham Hospital Radio. By the way, R.I.P. Dave McGeely, who passed away a couple of weeks ago, who was a big influence, and Nigel Hobson. Yeah. I started out there and moved into football journalism for Oldham Athletic.
Right.
And you can see the scarf there.
I know you're a big fan, mate. I know you're a big fan.
Oh, I'm a shocking fan. Bloody hell, put me off football for life. But like I said, I'm an Oldham fan. I've worked for Oldham for probably about 10 years.
Yeah.
But off and on, what sprung from there, and it sort of opened opportunities for me to go and work elsewhere, and I started working for Jazz FM in Manchester.
Right.
Started working there, and then I went to university in Warrington, and I got work experience at Galaxy 102 in Manchester, and a guy called Simon Ritchie took me under his wing and started working on the Adam Cole breakfast show.
Yeah.
And it all sort of sprung from there, really. And like started working in the production side. I got to work with the Dream Team and Graham Park. Worked with Tim Lennox. I worked with Mike Anthony. Also got to mention Dan Hartley, who was like taught me actual production, audio production. God, bloody hell! I've worked with so many like big names in radio at the time, and like I still carry on occasionally in freelance, work with people. I've actually worked with Tony Blackburn. I've actually worked with Tony Blackburn, and it's it's one of those things like, and like I'd always sort of like stayed in what I used to do is I would DJ in bars, and I'd finish at 11, and I'd go and do the specialist.
Yeah,
musics, like that went through, and like people like Mark XTC and the Intellect, Marcus Intellects and the Slamming Boys. I'd go and like finish my set there and drive down to Portland Street in Manchester, and I'd go and produce these radio shows, and and literally I'd just like I wouldn't even sleep. You know what I mean? I'd just go right the way through. And eventually it got to a point where I started making. I was on the Graham Park show, and Graham doesn't need a producer. Like Parky doesn't need a producer whatsoever. And he used to say to me like, "Shaun, just put me on air, and then do what you want until 2 hours later, and like we'll go into the next show." I remember being in the back room. And I was playing about. I've got a Head Candy CD through with the CD single of before it'd been signed, "Flawless" by the Ones, and like Graham had just played it, and then I was playing about with a piece of software called Sadie, which is kind of like a music editing
software,
piece of software from years ago that I was really well trained on, and I remember like doing a bootleg of Madonna music.
Right.
With the Ones Flawless, whacked it out, and then played it to my program director, who at the time I think was, would have been Sam Sniber, who's a legendary French radio producer. Did basically won awards for Fun FM and everything. He came to be our director, and he said, bad French impression here. Let's do bootleg of the week.
Yeah.
I sound Welsh then. Let's do bootleg of the week. And then he started like saying to me, let's do bootleg of the week. And before I know it, it's like, let's do like bootleg mix. Let's do Friday night mix. I started working with a guy called Steve Denyer, who's actually doing quite a lot of podcasts at the moment.
Yeah.
And then we went onto his show, and it came from there, and it got to a point like we were just about to release You Get What You Give, and we had a change of boss, and a guy came in called James Brown, and I don't think he thought a lot of me, and he just, I'll tell you what, right, this is the shittest way to sack anybody, right? And he comes in, he says to me, will you come in and see me? Came in and said, all it is, Shaun, we're sacking you.
Wow. Hey, it's black and white.
Isn't that the fucking shittest way to actually get rid? Anyway, got rid of me, and I thought, do you know what? Leave radio, and I left it about 2-3 years. Started doing podcasts.
How many hours were you doing at this radio station at the time?
Right, technically paid. Right.
Obviously, you do more, don't you?
Paid
Yeah.
technically for 8 hours on minimum wage.
Yeah.
Working 35 hours. Yeah. But kind of off my own back to an extent, because I just wanted to use their equipment because I couldn't afford that equipment.
Yeah.
So I was using their equipment. I used to come in at 8 o'clock at night when Galaxy would go into the network stage where it was all done from, I think, Leeds.
Right.
And you, like I said, you get like Jay Smith doing his sort of like network show or whatever. And I thought, I've got a PC there that I can't afford, so come in and do it. And I started knocking out bootleg after bootleg after bootleg as Trip Babies. And I've missed it. I've actually skipped a stage, which is the station I set up, which is Extreme FM.
Yeah.
And also the pirate I set up called Extreme FM.
Yeah.
Which led me to a guy called Cy Edwards. Mm-hmm. And we started Trick Babies together.
Yeah.
And we started knocking out bootlegs. I mean, we did 5 Trick Babies bootlegs, which are on the wall behind you, actually. Which, hang on one second. Just pull them out. We've got, I mean, the first one we did. Right, let's get them all out here. We've done, like, that's Madonna and the Ones, Music and Flawless.
Yeah. That's the one you were talking about before, isn't it? Yeah.
We've got Catch a Fantasy, which is Baby D mixed with Lonnie Gordon, and Sunday Sunshine, I think is Sunshine Anderson and Sunday Shouting, I think it's called. And then we've done 2 EPs. That's like the Peace and Harmony EP with Such a Good Time, which is a massive niche track. We did loads of these EPs.
I've got a couple of them, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
They were very different of the time. I know there was a lot of bootleggers around.
Yeah.
But there were always, as I say, I've always said about you, it's always obscure records. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't many people doing Madonna, the music. Do you know what I mean? Just for instance, but you've had the sort of perfect setup for. I could play this on the radio, and if you get people requesting, say what it is, you know whether it's going to be a hit or not almost instantly.
Well, straight away, right? Sam put Music is Flawless on the Galaxy playlist. I remember my mate Russ from Vinyl Exchange in Manchester, Russ Marland, said to me, he said, "Is it you?" I remember going downstairs, like buying records, and he said, "Is it you that's done that Music and Flawless?" Like I said, "Yeah, we're getting about 30 requests a day for it in here." I said, "It's actually gone to press." I think we sold, 8,000 copies.
Not bad, is it?
So we've done really, really well off that. And it's mad at the time, during the day to actually subsidise me working and doing this. I was working erecting fencing, basically for a contractor that was doing fencing for old folks' homes.
All right, I see what you mean.
It's like retirement homes. And literally, I was just knackered. I was like doing that, and then trying to like balance my life with my girlfriend at the time, and then going in Galaxy and like literally waking up having like 3 hours sleep and going back in. So it was out of work at the time. But anyway, going back to that, also at the time I had a pirate radio station called Extreme FM in 1995, which we ran from a tower block in Worneth in Oldham, which we diverted to a place in Alt to avoid the DTI. We used to run that on Sundays, and we eventually did Extreme FM legally, which was the biggest money losing operation I've ever had in my life. And we all ended up falling out, and we pulled the station in 10 days going legally because we ran out of money. So it's
you have to have a lot of things in place before you run a legal thing. It's just
absolutely.
with sponsors and
the thing is, you've got to bear in mind, I was 22 at the time. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, everything's pie in the sky at 22.
Maybe a bit naive, isn't it? That's what it is. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But I was working with 2 people that were ridiculously up on radio, and I actually thought we could do it, and we didn't. And I mean, I'm a rule breaker. Do you know what I mean? But they wanted to do absolutely everything by the book, and it just didn't work.
For what it costs to run it, the running costs just to even be on air.
It costs you. I think works out probably about £30 a minute just to actually have a local. Radio station, like Revolution in Oldham. I think it's about £30 a minute.
Yeah, if you work that out, like if you're getting putting ads and that on, you don't want to balance if you don't want too many ads because people just tune out. Do you know what I mean?
But anyway, from Galaxy, like I said, I'd sort of like called it a day. I started doing a podcast called Saturday Night Lever on SoundCloud when that kind of first worked out, before like the copyright sort of thing came in. From that, I got a phone call one day from a mate of mine called John Besant, randomly, and like I didn't really know John that well.
Yeah.
He just said, "Right, how do you fancy a Saturday afternoon show on Unity Radio 96.2?"
I remember you on that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
And I took it. I thought, fuck it, go for it. Started doing like an hour and a half's worth of sort of like dance and anthems and things like that. Yeah. Expands to like 3 hours.
You're on drive time as well, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, from that, I got asked to cover drive time, and then the drive time presenter just didn't come back. So I ended up doing that for 5 years, and I had a brilliant time. I ended up like bloody interviewing the likes of Jax Jones. I was the first person to interview Stormzy. I had Kid Ink come into the studio, people like that. Like Zach Abel came in. We had bloody all sorts of people that I'd interview, and like every single week, be like, shit, it's Duke Dumont today. And I'm like, the only thing I will say is the controversial Jax Jones interview, in which, again, I've got to be very careful in choosing my words here, mysteriously went missing.
Right.
Mysteriously, we forgot to press record, which, and there's a question in there, and it's controversial.
Okay, you can tell me off air. It's okay.
It's all right.
yeah, I don't mind. So yeah, you were doing the Unity thing. I think that's when I first sort of maybe met you. I think possibly. When was that? Like 2000? What year did you start doing that?
Would have been. I started at Unity. Would have been when I remember. Like my first show would have been probably about 2012.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then I probably left about 2018 because I got to a point where I just thought radio's kind of like dying out, and I want to go and move into something else. And
I think nowadays, you are betting on yourself rather than sort of do your own show with your own curated audience and just put it out online. You probably get more viewers who are willing to listen to you for who you are than just a passive radio.
I think radio actually needs to. Radio at the moment is going back to where its actual logical conclusion, which is to be more. And again, going back to like something my dad always said to me, which is like my dad's a barber, retired hairdresser, and he said, for me, radio is only for the likes of me and taxi drivers and who literally can't view something. Yeah. And it's down to people for background music and that kind of thing. So I think radio's kind of down. I think it's all about the visual thing, which is why I actually got into visual DJing, which didn't really work out for me. But I thought at least give it a go and do something different and unique.
You would not believe, right? This is a thing because you said about starting a podcast yourself. Do not start a podcast with just audio. I wasn't sure about doing the video thing. For me, I don't like being on camera. So this is we got to episode 6. And the amount of people going, just video it, it'd be better if we can see you have the conversation. And I'm like, you want to sit in your house and watch somebody sit and talk to somebody else, right? That's fair enough, okay. And do you know the viewership went right up? I don't know what the logic is behind it, whether it is a visual thing or what, right. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you something now that kind of reinforces that point. Quote, 90% of what we learn is visual. Who do you reckon came up with that quote?
It'd be someone on TV, surely.
Walt Disney.
Right, yeah, I can imagine, yeah, probably.
Walt Disney came up with that quote, and I think it's absolutely true.
It is. But then, because I watch a lot of podcasts and that myself, I don't, if like on the way down, I was listening to Joe Rogan's latest podcast and I had it on. I'm not wanting to look at what he's doing while he's doing it. Do you know what I mean? I'm listening to it audibly. But obviously, some people prefer the visual aspect of it.
In all honesty, right, I could put on a record like Hard Floor, Acid Experience, right? Yeah. And I can put that on a turntable, whack it up loud. I can shut my eyes and I can physically, I can see the pictures.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's not for everyone. Do you know what I mean? And that's only because I've like I said, music's my entire life and always will be my life. Do you know what I mean? For some people, like I said, music is consumed in so many different ways, and there's nothing wrong or right about how anybody consumes their music.
Sorry, my brain's gone like
Yeah.
mental. I need to ask you this question.
Yeah.
I've seen someone. This was a fact I read the other day, and it's sort of relatable, but sort of off subject. Have you got an inner monologue?
A what? Sorry.
An inner monologue. So, have you got a voice in your head that when you think?
Oh, all the time.
Have you got it?
Sometimes.
Right.
No, I get to a point where I actually, like the inner monologue, I'll speak out loud.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like that, right? I read a fact the other day that 70% of people don't have an inner monologue, right? I know you're talking about when you were saying you close your eyes and you can picture stuff like that. I can't picture, like when I was walking down here, I told you I parked up the hill. I was walking down here, I was thinking to myself certain things I need to do by the end of the day, sort of thing. And my inner monologue was talking to himself. And I think there's 70% of the people walk around here, right? And there's not that voice isn't in their head. What are they doing with their spare time when they're walking? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's bizarre, but it's like when you were saying about when you close your eyes and when I listen to a tune, you can put a tune on. I shoot my eyes. I can picture colours. I can picture.
Well, it's a brilliant
visuals.
And like I said, I love that. And I mean, I remember an interview years and years ago where, and I think it was Alex Pepper who did the interview with Brian Transo, like BT, and Tori Amos. When they were working together, and I remember Tori Amos, and I remember I've actually got this interview on a CD,
right?
Because it meant, and Tori Amos was saying, when I hear music, I see colour.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know what I mean? And like I say, I see colour in music, and it's funny actually because again, I can't go into this because it's something that's long and short. Basically, it's something that a friend of mine is now actually working on that obviously is copywritten and like he's told me about in confidence. But basically it's like I said, when you everything is in colour, you know what I mean? Your mind, everything, your thoughts are in colour. But I can never switch off. I find it very, very hard to switch off.
I'm the same. I've heard another quote that someone was saying as well. It could have been in the same thing about the inner monologue thing when I was reading about it. Apparently, they say that like music is so you walk through life in black and white, right? It's not physically, but your life will be bland, and then you have music playing, and it adds a colour to your life. So, does that make sense? So like, but they say that with religions and stuff like that. Why do you think when you go to say like a church or like a gospel like church, or even in other religions like Sikhs and Muslims and in anything, there's a big core of what religion is to do with music, and it's quite focused on the sound and the audio, and I find that fascinating because that's quite tribal, I think, like in the long and short of things. Do you know what I mean?
It's I mean like I mean you say that as well. It's like I wonder why we naturally fall into a 4/4 pattern. Do you know what I mean? Like so naturally we all fall into a 4/4 pattern. Is that something that's come from like the evolution of us like being in caves? Is that something that's mathematically sort of like imprinted on our sort of like brains? So like do. You know what I mean? Or is like is that conditioned by culture over?
Possibly.
It's something I don't think we'll ever sort of work out. I always remember like there's a brilliant sketch. I'm a big comedy fan.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant sketch by the Mighty Boosh. I'm not a massive fan of Mighty Boosh.
It had its day, but
as
far as it goes.
There's this thing, and it's like I can't remember the episode, but it's very good actually. And they do this little sketch where they're a pop band, and they start off as like this electro synth thing, and then they flip into this like 16th century fucking lute, like playing lutes, and the quote Noel Fielding comes out with is something like bringing retro to its logical conclusion. I always love that line.
I like that.
Absolutely brilliant.
I love that. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions if that's all right. Now this is just from some of the viewers, and then we've got a couple of little mini games to play as well, if that's all right. Right, this one come in, and I just thought if you know somebody, it's going to be you who knows it. So, What is the maddest nickname you've ever came across in the clubbing scene? And that's from Sam Moore.
DJ Pants.
DJ Pants.
Yeah, he used to actually DJ in his fucking underpants.
I like it. Is there any honourable mentions? Any honourable mentions?
Honourable mentions.
But DJ Pants wins it for me.
I remember DJing in a club in Derby, right? And the DJ, I'd be booked to play at a place. Basically, I played at a place called Bedroom in Ashton-under-Lyne, and they had another bedroom in Derby. Right, there's only two of them. There was a guy there, and the DJ was called Flash. I said to him, "Why are you called Flash?" He said, "Oh, my real name's Gordon."
I like that.
There's that. Oh, bloody hell. There's so many. Jane Reaction.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun ones. I've seen loads of them, like SpongeBob Square Donk. That's one of them.
No.
I seen one. A duo. This is really bad actually. A duo from, I believe they're from like the Bristol area, and they call themselves Fred and Rose West. DJ Fred and Rose.
You can't do that. I bet they played Crowdie House, didn't they?
I believe, and this is another thing. I believe the play. They're in with like drum and bass DJs. But I'm sure they play like donk at like 170. They're just really pitched up donk, and that's their thing.
Fucking hell! So it's like Makina times.
Yeah. It's
Makina +8.
It's not my type of thing.
Fucking hell!
Yeah. Brilliant. I want to do some word association with you as well. Right. So what it is, I'm gonna say a phrase.
We do Timmy and Ali.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Back a day.
I didn't get it from there though. So I'm gonna read these words to you, and you just tell me the first word that comes to your mind. Okay. So this is word association. Boy raver.
Can we start again?
Go then. Boy raver.
Me.
LMC.
Me.
Vinyl.
Me.
Oh come on! You've got to play the game. Northern rave scene.
Me.
It's all to do with you, mate. Bedroom.
Me.
Right. This is the worst game ever. Bowlers.
Me.
Okay. Manchester.
Me.
Okay. Production.
Me.
Okay, right, there we go. That's that section for this week over.
But you just fucking asked me something when I don't say me.
Yeah, that was the whole point of it is. I just wanted to get an expansion on you, sort of say. Right, this is a question. What's one pet peeve you have in the music industry?
Cunts.
Yeah. Any particular reason?
Do I need to give one? It's my pet peeve.
Dealing with arseholes.
Right. My pet peeve really is in the music industry. I kind of don't really have that many, but the one thing that I find really irritating more than anything is rehashing. This is going to sound very contradictory. Rehashing 90s dance tunes with a top line over it that's different to the original, and like basically getting a hit from it. Also, as well, Joe Corey.
Yes, I would get into that. We'll get into that. Right. So about 5 weeks ago? Would you say 5-6 weeks ago? Was it?
What, Joe Corey?
No, it's when you put it out online that I'd read about it.
Right, Big Ange was the person that stuck up for me, and it was probably about 2 months ago. Maybe a bit longer. It's probably about 3 months ago now.
Wow, time travels fast.
But yeah, I released a track called Party All Night.
Yeah.
What would have been about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Party All Night kind of went under the radar, which most boy raver stuff does. And then me and Andy were working on a track called Houses of Feeling. It's Northern Rave scene. And Andy lives right behind the studio. We're there in his kitchen, the disco kitchen. And we were remixing Hands on Me for Kimberly Miles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which we done that. And we thought, spoke to Mickey Williams at Echo, who runs Criminal Records, and like I said, Mickey's an old mate of mine. I've mixed packs for for him before, and like he said, I want something that they might play on Capital, and I don't listen to Capital. And I thought, randomly, like me and Andy, let's just have a listen to what they're actually playing on their playlist. I looked at it, I thought, Joe Corey, yeah, listen to that, see what he's doing. Played it, and literally this is the expression on my face.
So had Andy heard your version yet or not? Because did he know what was going on, or?
Andy knew nothing about it.
Okay.
Right? And then I was just there, and literally I could have punched the wall.
Right.
I could have punched the wall.
So for those who don't know, just want to explain it, if that's okay.
Yeah, basically, all night. Basically, Joe Corey's track Drinking. I firmly believe, in fact, I might, to be fair, he can't sue me for anything, because I've got nothing. So, do you know what I mean? I might as well just be frank. And to be fair, I've had a few people in the industry that work with that label tell me exactly it was directly lifted from my version.
Okay.
And basically, what I've done, I sampled Chance the Rapper all night.
Yeah.
Knocked it out as like a bit of a sort of like what we would call in the old school a white label.
Yeah.
But obviously
It's
now
like a bootleg,
digitally on
isn't it?
Bandcamp. And long and short, I've had a few people in the industry say basically, yes, that was completely lifted from your track.
It's the same bass line and everything, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely everything. Piano, bass line, absolutely the whole concept. If you A-B the two tracks, they're in the same key, absolutely everything. And I just thought, you fucking cunt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the language, but do you know what I mean?
That's right.
But
I don't know if he produces his own stuff, and I don't know much about him.
I doubt he can fucking hit middle C on a fucking keyboard, to be honest with you.
Right, but I don't know whether he's heard the track. And
I actually got a message from Joe Corey directly.
Right, okay.
So,
What, and he said he'd heard your track?
No, he said he tried to. He actually started the track 2 months before I'd done mine, which is bullshit.
Okay, right.
Absolute fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
The guy's full of shit.
Right, okay.
And if you look at, like, he's gone down the legal route of actually doing it, which in some people might say that's fair game. For me, I just think it's a fucking cunt.
I can understand that. It's your art, isn't it? It's your art.
Yeah,
I'd be very passionate about it as well.
Well, to be honest with you, if he wants to fucking go on ripping other people's ideas off and just getting off on doing that and living like the high life and, you know, doing what he's doing and good luck to him. You know what I mean? If he can sleep at night, fair enough. For me, do you know what I mean? I'd rather make my own music and enjoy making music and carry on making music until I fucking kick the bucket. I'd rather actually do that and be proud of the fact I've actually played an instrument and came up with my own idea.
Excellent. I like that.
And do you know what I mean? That's it. There's no bit. Of course, I'm bitter. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, honestly, do you know, people like that just fucking make me sick. Talentless fucking twats.
I get it, 100%. No, because if you've done a tune and then you go to like some you don't like essentially know because you didn't know anything on Capital or like that. And you tune, it's like that's my tune. Like you're bound to. I'd be rubbed up the wrong way. Absolutely, there's no question about it. So on the lighter edge, right? One thing that makes you get great satisfaction from the music industry. So I said, what's a pet peeve? What's a great satisfaction?
Great satisfaction is just people sharing my music, sending me nice messages, which, you know, I get all the time and I always reply to, just saying thank you. I keep playing your track. I love it and that kind of thing. That's, you know, I'm not here for the money. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, eventually I will release my fucking album, which is still like bloody. I think it's been like 5 years in the making now, which is Get Poor or Live Trying.
I like it.
That's eventually going to get dropped at some point.
Tell me you're doing it under the alias 50 pence or something like that.
50 fucking €50.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's like I said, I'm not here for that. Do you know what I mean? I'm here to enjoy music, and like I said, I'll live poor and I'll die poor. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. If I've got a roof over my head and I've got, you know, a hot meal and a recording studio, and that's all I want.
So this is just out of my interest, by the way. So I would say, what statistically is your most successful track then? I'm not, because I know Kenny asked at the beginning saying what was your biggest achievement, but I just want to know statistically what's maybe had the most players or generated the most money. I don't want to know any figures. I just want to know what statistically is.
Statistically, right. You've got to measure that on different
things, but on as across the board. I'm saying.
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I'm not going to go with the obvious answer.
Okay.
I would say... So you've got to factor in like tracks that I've played on as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm either credited or not credited. Yeah. I've got to go with bootlegs, everything. Bloody hell. Like basically, like you're asking, what's my cash cow?
Not even that though, because essentially you can generate players and not necessarily get paid a great deal for it. Yeah. What I'm saying is, what is your most successful? I know there's ones that people know you for instance, but what is statistically the one that's head and shoulders above the rest?
Bloody hell. Bloody hell. I'd say Music and Flawless.
Right, do you reckon?
Yep.
I think that's one of the ones do you know when people say someone's name and you'll think, oh, straight away you'll link them to so-and-so or whatever. And then like, if I hear your name, a lot of the time I think of that tune. I don't know why, it's the way my brain works. Whether it's, I don't know if you do that yourself.
Do you know what? Like I said, it's weird actually. Like you measure success in different parts of the country as well. It's like remember I've done the Piano Man and like Boy Raver, Big Tasty, his family, massive in Liverpool. Dub Plate 4 is the other one as well. Dub Plate 4 is massive in Yorkshire and Liverpool. It's like I said, I mean, Boy Raver doesn't tend to go south of Birmingham. You know,
I've noticed that a lot with my tracks. So I'm for those, like most of our watchers are within the bounce scene. So like you would say like Manchester, Liverpool, goes far across as maybe Halifax, and then in the northeast and then the northwest where I'm from, right. I did a tune with John not so long ago, and it was called Far From Okay. It's recently new. It only came out in August, and I noticed that it blew up online with a lot of like people. Like, so basically, we sampled. I'll just say it in another man. We sampled off a movie, and it says I'm pretty far from okay, but somebody's seen it, got it, and cut it out, and put that saying I'm pretty far from okay, and then the drop in. And then dancing to it on TikTok, and they're using it as a mental health.
Right, honestly, you get TikTok viral video, you're laughing.
Well, I think it had 1.6 million views last time I checked.
Yeah, now.
So it's had that, right? It's had success, and the label's really happy with it, right? But inside my little bubble of the bounce scene, it doesn't seem to have done much. There's one or two DJs who play it. Yeah. It's weird because outside of the bubble, a lot of people know that tune. It's like you were saying, in certain areas you get certain success. Yeah. Your Free is family tune, you're saying it's big in Liverpool, but you might play it in another city close by and everyone's like...
I've played it in Manchester, literally, hate it. Yeah. Absolutely hate it. Play it round here, absolutely hate it. Liverpool, massive. But I think a lot of that's down to Lee Butler hammering it. And
he played it a lot on the radio, hasn't he?
Dub Plate 4, I know for a fact Dub Plate 4 is probably actually the proper answer to the original question, because I know Anton Powers plays it, I know Lee Butler hammers it, but they never refer to it as Dub Plate 4. They always call it like Right and Hot or something, or and they keep calling me the Boy Raver. I'm just
Boy Raver
or Shaun. You know what I mean? But Dub Plate 4 is actually probably, I mean, besides Cheeky Tracks. But as well on the hard dance scene,
Digital Mafia's
mix.
That done a fair bit as well. Yeah. That did really well.
I absolutely love Cheeky Tracks. I think it's one of my favourite labels. I mean, my track Res Cowgirl came out on like a...
Is that 2014?
No, it's a bit late. It's quite recent, about 3 years ago. It's me on vocals as well on that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, yeah, it's me.
I thought that was earlier than that for some reason.
Yeah, it's Res Cowgirl. I think it probably made it about 2017. I think.
Right.
I think they released it about 2019.
Right.
So.
I must give a massive shout to Dave at Cheeky Tracks, because I think he is one of very few in the bounce scene who's running things legitimately. It's a business. It's not just somebody just putting a record out for the sake of it. He's getting behind it. He's promoting it. He's doing a lot for the bounce scene, getting it heard on a bigger scale.
I love Dave Gray. I'll tell you what I like most about Dave Gray is he changes the boundaries of what is hard dance. Like I said, bounce.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not even hard dance. Do you know what I mean? At times,
yeah.
He can put out like a really up tempo funky house tune.
Yeah.
And then he can put out something that's like bloody 170 BPM.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that's the essence of Cheeky Tracks, and I mean I'm so glad that's signed to Cheeky Tracks at one point. So I'm still with Dave. You know what I mean? I often throw. I mean, me and Dave have got this bloody in joke, which eventually will probably happen, which is I'm going to do a trance version of the theme to El Dorado.
Right. Okay.
Which we've had this in-joke for bloody years now.
And he'll release that as well.
he will do. No, he will do. As soon as I turn it in, he actually will do.
Yeah, I know he will. Last time you were on, did you do Throwback Attack?
Say it again.
Did you do the Throwback Attack?
No, what's Throwback Attack?
Throwback Attack. I'm going to read a sentence to you. You just tell me the first thing that comes to your head. Is that all right? So, this is Throwback Attack. Here we go. What song do you think of when you think back to primary school?
Frankie Goes to Hollywood 2 Times.
Nice. The 12-inch extended mix is really good on that.
Yeah. Well, it's down to American football. I was into American football, and they used to use the instrumental.
What team?
San Francisco 49ers.
Okay. What song do you think of when you think back to secondary school?
People Hold On by Cold Cut.
Okay. What song do you think of when you think to getting your first set of decks? Don't worry, I'm going to ask you the questions when we're off air.
Yeah. First set of decks. It's actually a record by, and I bought it on the same day as I got my first set of decks.
Yep.
It's a happy hardcore record, and I can't remember the bloody name of it, but it's called Stormtrooper, and it samples straight to my heart sometimes. I can't remember the bloody name of it. It's
I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
It's on Stormtrooper Records. It's a happy hardcore record.
Right. Okay.
I bought it on the same day that I bought my my SoundLab DLP3s.
Excellent. What song do you think of when you think back to your first days of going out?
Reel to Reel, I Like to Move It.
Okay. What song do you think of when you think back to your golden era? So what you class as your golden era?
Loving You're a Superstar.
Big tune. And what is your karaoke song?
K-San by Cold Chisel.
Okay. Nice one. I just want to wrap up today, mate. I think we've pulled off a great episode, don't you think? Would you agree? We've had the highs and the lows and everything like that, and I will certainly get you back again, because I think there's so much we need to dig on as well. I just want to say thank you for coming on.
No problem,
it's been great. It's been lovely to meet you as well. If you enjoy Shaun's stuff, where can they find you online?
Basically just Shaun Lever on Facebook, just directly. To be fair, I don't mind people contacting me on my phone number. As long as don't ring me, don't fucking ring me at fucking 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. That used to actually happen when I used to have Boyd Records. We used to sell tickets for Park Life. That was the worst time of my life, right? We used to sell Park Life tickets, and my mobile phone number was sort of like everywhere. I used to get phone calls at like fucking 4 o'clock in the bastard fucking morning. Have you got tickets left for Park Life?
You know what's happened there? People have went out, got on the session, came home, sitting in the kitchen.
Hey,
should we go Park Life?
Park Life.
Yeah, and then that's it. You're getting called.
To be fair, it's not difficult to find my phone number online because it's on the exposure flyers.
Yeah. Right.
So, but honestly, I'm dead approachable. And to be honest, if anyone wants to book me in the studio to sort of like do sort of like the Boy Raver sort of stuff, you are very, very welcome to give me a shout. I'll give my rate straight away, which is 120 for a 6-hour day down here, and I'm quite happy to do that. I'm also looking for musicians to actually start an indie label, because I really would like to do that off my own back, and that is obviously non-chargeable. It's just I'd like to sign indie bands.
Right. So what I'm going to ask is this before we shut off today. Then, if you are doing it like this, because obviously there's millions of people out there who want to try and do this sort of thing. Are you going legit? Are you going to give them a sort of work with me for this? We'll do an album together or whatever. Yeah, and there's a proper deal getting written down, or because there is many people.
It's going to be exactly the same way that Anthony H. Wilson did Factory Records. It's going to be a verbal agreement, but like if you watch this interview, you'll know I'm not doing any of this for.
Oh, I get that. Yeah.
I've just got to make a living. As long as I make a living, that's absolutely fine.
That's
and I will write any contracts in my own blood, just as Tony Wilson actually did. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're kind of like, you know what I mean? I want to start something that's very similar to what Martin Hannett and Tony Wilson and Alan Erasmus started with Factory. I want to do something very, very different, maybe potentially vinyl. 7-inch vinyl releases and
excellent. I like it.
But just experimental guitar music, and I'm happy to sit here, engineer, discover musicians, create new music, make records that change people's lives.
Excellent. I like it. I love it.
So
I just want to say thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it and you've made it this far into the episode, share it with your mates, because you've obviously enjoyed it. If you've sat here for X amount of hours listening to us chat, absolute tribe. So, yeah, thanks. Nice one.
Nice one. Cheers, guys.